We've just gone through a lot of PowerPoint slides that show us a lot of things that we can see on the sun. Everything that we've seen so far falls into one of two solar feature categories. They either go into the quiet sun category or the active sun category. Things that go into the quiet sun category are the granules, the granulation that we talked about on the photosphere, the spicules that are shooting up into the chromosphere, and the solar wind that is always blowing out away from the sun out into space. These things are always happening. You always have granulation on the sun. Spicules might last 5 minutes in one place, but when one of them disappears, another one is shooting up somewhere else. There are always spicules in the chromosphere. So the quiet sun is things that are always going on for the sun. It's a regular day. These are always happening because they're being produced by heat, and the sun is always hot. Therefore, the sun is always making these things happen in the category of the quiet sun. That's just a nice, regular, laid-back day for the sun. But now the sun also goes through changes in its activity with its magnetic fields. And the sun can become more or less active and produce some of these other things that come and go. These things do not always have to be there. Right now, the sun doesn't have very many sunspots on it. It might, in a few more years, have more sunspots. And we might not see too many filaments right around now, but in a few more years, we might see more filaments and prominences. And solar flares, that's a very high energy burst that's going to last 20 minutes, but you don't think those are going off on the sun all the time, do you? So solar flares come and go. These things all have irregular occurrences. They are not always happening on the sun. You might catch one once in a while. And what we figured out is that these things all have connections to the magnetic fields of the sun, which are always changing over long periods of time. One other thing before I move away from these two categories. You should, when you are asked about what belongs in the quiet sun and what belongs in the active sun categories, be able to tell that these quiet sun things are from heat effects and these are from magnetic field effects. But one more thing that these PowerPoint slides right here are not showing is that there are two other things that belong in the category of the active sun. And I will tell you what those two other things are now. Two other things that come and go are coronal holes, that would be an active sun category, and coronal mass ejections. Those don't always happen. Those also belong in the active sun category. So remember that. Aren't you glad you weren't just reading the PowerPoint and instead you listened to this?